Hello and welcome to Retirement Ready TV, Cleveland's best resource for important retirement information. Whether you're already in your retirement journey, attempting to figure out when you might be able to take that step, or are just curious about what it takes to plan out a successful path for income in retirement, you've connected with the right place, where we take a deep dive into all things retirement income related. I'm Michelle Davidson, and with me today is the power couple of retirement planning in the CLE, Tim and Laura Schultz of Preservation Retirement Services. Welcome, Tim and Laura. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
you. Good to be here. We appreciate it.
Now, Tim and Laura, I know we have a lot of important ground to cover to hopefully get people heading in the right direction for their financial journey through retirement. We're going to cover the state of the economy, some ways to reduce the risk of losing money due to stock market exposure, and of course, what rising taxes and inflation could potentially do to chip away at your retirement savings. But before we get to that, I'm intrigued to know how you got started in this important profession.
You know, this all happened 15 years ago, and it's amazing how fast time flies, right? And it was 2008. Remember, that was kind of that last traditional market recession with the real estate bubble, and it hurt a lot of people. You know, a lot of people out there, you know, their 401ks, IRAs really got hurt. And for me, it hurt me a little bit differently because 3 weeks before that market crash, I buried my mother. And she passed away with a difficult bout of breast cancer, and she had it 3 times, and the third time it came back and went to her brain, and she didn't make it. But my mom was a nurse, small town in Iowa, and we're here in Cleveland, and we say that we're Hawkeyes trapped in a Buckeye world. Don't hold that against us. But my mom and my dad were both nurses, and they had a very modest income. And my mother left me $200,000 of life insurance on a nice nursing salary, and I was very grateful for it. And at the time, I was not a retirement planner. I owned a mortgage company. It was called Pink Ribbon Home Mortgage, and I was helping her go through her breast cancer battle. So I went to my retirement planner, and I said, what should I do with it? And he said, put it all in the market. Didn't talk to me about risk, didn't talk to me about diversification, didn't talk to me about how comfortable I was where to put the money in and where. And I put that money in, and 3 weeks later, Michelle, that $200,000 went to 180, 160, 140, 120. And I lost $80,000 of my mom's money, I call it. And it was devastating. Watching it go down, not being able to stop that. I said right then and there, I don't want that to happen to myself, my family members, or anybody else. If I could do anything about it, I sold my mortgage company. I started Preservation Retirement Services, and we've kind of grown since then. It really kind of helps because of her. And then she finally joined me, and and here we are now.
Yeah, my story is very different. I mean, Tim's story is incredible, and it's really, an unfortunate situation that got you here, but just so great that you have that passion behind you, to help our clients preserve their money, which the opportunity you didn't have. And that's why you named the company Preservation Retirement Services. Oh. And it's just really cool. I started my career as a lawyer at a big firm here in Cleveland, Thompson Hine. I did commercial litigation. I was very good at it. It was an intellectually stimulating job. I enjoyed my colleagues. But I didn't necessarily have that passion that you just heard in Tim's voice talking about, his experience in my practice. And so at the same time, I was actually working out of Tim's office for a bit during COVID. And I saw every day his clients coming in and giving him hugs and being so happy to see him. And my clients weren't always that thrilled to see me because they were involved in some sort of lawsuit that I was helping them out with. Not the happiest time in your life if you're engaged with the legal system. And, at the same time, I just didn't have that strong passion. I wasn't helping people. Was I helping companies? Great companies here in Cleveland make more money. I absolutely was. But at the end of the day, I wasn't helping people. And my parents, taught me no matter what, no matter where you are in life, you have to help people out. And so I didn't feel that. So, I was listening to Tim help folks with their retirement. They were so at ease after speaking with him. They really felt like he had put them on the right path for retirement. And it was really powerful and moving. And I said, I kind of want to do that too. And Tim had always said, Laura, just come work with me. Just
begging you to come work for me.
But as you'll find out, I'm the plan girl. I'm all about the plan. I need the plan. Just coming and working with me, that wasn't a good enough plan.
That's fair.
I didn't, don't necessarily want to be his assistant or something like that. Like, not sure that that would have been great for a marriage. But
No.
at that point in time, kind of everything came together. And Tim said, well, why don't you come? You can get your securities license. You can be the wealth advisor for Preservation Retirement Services. You can be my partner. And, I'll help folks with their safe money retirement strategies. You can help them with money in the market. And it all really came together in this sort of like, angel singing in the background. No, I'm just kidding. But and we do work really well as a team, and the rest is history. And now I'm so happy to be here. I love engaging with our clients every day, and it's awesome.
It seems like a perfect fit and a great way to honor your parents and your mother.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I work with my best friend, my wife, my business partner. It's fantastic.
Well, I think Cleveland is so lucky to have such a committed pair as you two, helping families and individuals find their way to a successful retirement. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, but if you're watching at home, would you like to learn more? Receive a complimentary Retirement Ready Toolkit and set up a call with Preservation Retirement Services and get answers to your specific questions about whether you're retirement ready. Just call or text the number that's on your screen right now, 440-345-6900. Text the word READY to that number and automatically receive a link to your own Retirement Ready Toolkit. We'll be right back.
We went to Maine this summer. We go to Florida a couple times a year. We took the grandkids up to Michigan fishing, just living the dream right now.
Yeah, that's the one thing we really want to do is travel and adventure in our retirement. And we weren't even sure before, what we'd be able to do. But after partnering with Tim and Laura, it's like, okay, we're good. Tim and Laura were able to show it to us, visually show us, where it would go and how it would grow and how to diversify. And that, we'd be able to actually have fun and leave a legacy for the kids. When we come in, it's like visiting friends, and it's a partnership. They educated us so much. I thought we were fairly, knowledgeable about it, but when it comes down to it, there was a lot of missing pieces that were more about preserving what we have. Everything that they do is, pinpointed to us. This is our family.
Take control of your future. Preservation Retirement Services. Get retirement ready. Call today.
Welcome back. We're with Tim and Laura Schultz from Preservation Retirement Services right here in Cleveland. Tim and Laura, you are a husband and wife team, and you make it look so easy. You make it work. So how does that factor into how you do business?
Yeah, people every day are like, how do you spend 24 hours a day with your
Yes.
spouse? How do you guys not kill each other? But we really, really do work well as a team. And that's really because Tim and I are really different. As I mentioned, I'm a lawyer by trade. I'm that very analytical, rules, details, in the weeds on our client's retirement plan, which works really, really well. Tim, on the other hand, he is the big picture guy. He's the big thinker, the dreamer. And you really need both of those perspectives. I think that's why having the team approach to retirement planning is so great for our clients.
It's important, right? When we're talking about a client, you're coming together with your perspective, and I'm coming together with mine. And sometimes, or most of the time, you're right.
Usually.
And I follow your lead. But we come together, ultimately when we have that customized plan for our clients. And it works well because Laura is their wealth advisor. So she's handling money in the stock market. I am the safe money planner. I'm a national Social Security advisor. So I create the Social Security plan as well. Medicare, so Medicaid, we do it also. We come together well.
And we always joke, you probably each of our clients need each of our attention.
Yeah.
And which one more, depends on their risk tolerance.
Does.
If they're a little bit more aggressive, their investment plan might be a little bit more heavy towards my side of the business. If they're a little bit more conservative in their approach, they may need a little bit more of Tim's attention. But usually our clients work with both of us, and we work really well that way.
It works. We haven't had a fight yet.
Not since this morning.
I'm impressed and shocked, but I know I could not work with my husband, but I know I see you guys do it, and you seem to balance each other perfectly.
We do.
We do. That's a great way to put it.
Now it's time for Women Get Retirement Ready, our special time each week that is devoted to addressing retirement concerns specific to women. We have a question that's been sent to us by one of your favorite clients, and she has agreed to let us use it on the air, and here she is. Mary, are you there?
Hey, Laura. My husband and I are not very compatible when it comes to risk tolerance. How can you help us compromise and come to a good place?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mary, and one that I hear from both women and men in our practice. Just because you're married doesn't mean you have to be exactly the same in any way, let alone from a risk tolerance perspective. Tim and I just talked about how different we are. But the most important thing is if you find yourself as being one of those folks that isn't the same risk tolerance as your spouse, it's important to have a plan and to have a retirement planner that can help you navigate that, right? For example, if we have a client that's very conservative, and really at the end of the day, most folks that are conservative, they're worried about running out of money, right? That's what the real concern is. And so we can build a piece of their portfolio that is conservative. We can't lose money when the market goes down for the purpose of generating income in retirement. If they're one of those people, if this woman is someone who has that income gap at retirement, which most folks do, Social Security isn't enough to cover their monthly budget, then we can have a conservative piece of the portfolio that makes that conservative spouse happy and generates that $500 a month that we need every month to cover their income gap. Once we do that, once we know that the monthly bills are paid, no matter what the market is doing, we can have that piece of that portfolio that's really targeted towards more aggressive growth because we know we don't necessarily have to tap into that money in retirement, and then that aggressive spouse is going to be happy. Then everybody can feel comfortable and feel like there's someone listening to them.
And you said it, listening to them. Have you found that some women want to have another woman across the table from them to listen to them?
100%. I'm sure you've experienced this, Michelle. Unfortunately, there are many wonderful men out there in the financial industry, don't get me wrong. But I'm sure that you've probably had the same experience that I have. You go to buy a car or get a mortgage, and the man on the other side of the table doesn't look you in the eye, they're looking at your husband. And I'm like, hey, over here, it's me. I'm the CFO of our family. I'm the one that knows all the answers to your question. There are many women that have gone out and been talked down to by male advisors or just talked over. And so that's really why you see this logo behind us, Women Get Retirement Ready. That's why we developed this as a separate part of our practice. It was so important to me because I wasn't always a super financially savvy person. I got there over years of experience and time and wanting to learn. There are many women that just feel intimidated. It's intimidating going to see an advisor for the first time. We developed this practice that's geared towards women specifically so that they know they do have a safe place, a non-judgment place that they can come and not feel like they're asking stupid questions. Feel like there's somebody that's going to listen to them and hear them. And so we're so proud to be one of the only, retirement planner that we know of in the Cleveland area that really does have this focus on women. We have events specifically for women, and it's something that's super important to me.
It's such a great focus. And ladies, if you have a question you'd like to see addressed on the show, just text question to the number on your screen right now. 440-345-6900, and you'll receive a reply with instructions on how to do just that. And maybe next week, Laura can respond to your retirement question on the show. Thank you so much. We'll be right back, and I think Tim will join us, right?
I suppose we'll let him back on.
I guess so. Okay, thank you.
Women have a lot to be proud of. We get a lot done. But too many times, we take care of ourselves last. If you're married, there's a good chance you'll outlive your spouse and all the financial decisions will fall to you. If you're single, it will be up to you to fund your entire retirement. That's a lot to carry by yourself. I'm Laura Schultz, and at Preservation Retirement Services, we can help to take some of that off your shoulders. It's time to put yourself first for once. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Welcome back to Retirement Ready TV. Now here's a question for both of you. What's the most gratifying thing about helping others?
So what we find is when we have particularly a couple that comes in to sit down with us for their retirement ready review, there's typically one spouse or partner that is the CFO of the family. They really have the investments, under their belt. They know the budget, all of those things. And then the other spouse is the COO, we say, handling all the other things in the household.
Sometimes not the way we think it is.
Yeah, sometimes it's a male, sometimes it's a female. Yeah. It can be any which way. But what we find is that non-CFO, whoever doesn't really handle the money piece of their lives, is very nervous about what happens if my spouse passes away. How am I going to handle this whole piece of my life, our financial life, that I feel like I don't know anything about? And I think to my grandmother, she passed away last year at 101 years old. She had an incredible long life, but she was a widow at a very young age. My grandfather passed away in his late 50s. He was out walking, slipped on the ice, fell down, was in the hospital getting his broken leg treated, and then passed away from a heart attack that day. She was not the CFO, you know. She had never handled the family's finances, and it took her a long time to really wrap her arms around that, and she had missteps along the way. She had people that took advantage of her. And so I always think, what if she could have just made one phone call when that horrible thing happened, when her husband passed away, to a retirement planner and said, hey, Tim, Laura, you know, my spouse passed away. Can you help me? Can we put into place the plan that we already have? Like, one, she would have felt confident enough to know there was a plan in place if her spouse passed away. But two, she could have somebody that cared about her that she already knew do all the little things that put that plan into action. And so when we are able to do that and put someone's mind at ease, that they know if their spouse passes away, they have somebody like us that has their back, it's super rewarding.
Yeah, you know, for me, and we've talked about this a lot, it's that transformation that we see when clients come into our office. And they come in, a lot of times they're nervous and they're scared, you know, because the biggest question they always ask is, do I have enough money, you know, to get through retirement? And you know, and it's a process we take them through, you know, our retirement ready roadmap, and we walk them through the process. And through this process, we could see them kind of lightening up and relaxing and realizing, I'm gonna be okay. That's the powerful thing that I like.
And they say, you know, we sat down with other advisors and all they did was kind of sell us products.
Yep.
They just initially talked about stocks or bonds or annuities, and we never really knew like what the plan was, and we never knew if we were going to be okay. They never showed us, how long is my money going to last?
Yep.
And they never put that plan in place.
Yep.
It was about products, not the plan. And for us, building that plan and just seeing the confidence that results from that is so awesome.
A simple phrase, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
All right, we have a lot more ground to cover, so let's carry on. I've heard it said that when you retire, all the rules change. You know, many retirees worry about running out of money after they retire, and I'm sure many Americans worry about not getting a regular paycheck in retirement. Now, that's a legitimate fear because, like you all have said, the rules change in retirement.
They do.
So can you walk us through some potential sources of income that retirees could have?
Sure. Laura?
Sure. Don't blame the messenger, but the bad news when you retire is your paycheck stops.
What?
Right?
It does?
No!
I know.
What?
Oh.
So that's the best thing about many people's job, right? That paycheck showing up in your bank account every 2 weeks. In retirement, we say you have to create paychecks. You know, most folks, it's either or. They have a pension, if you're one of the lucky few that still have a pension left, or Social Security, because at least here in Ohio, if you have that pension from the state, you're probably not getting Social Security too. So it's kind of either or. So maybe you have one paycheck coming in retirement, but it's typically not the amount of your old paycheck that you got while you were working. And I hate to tell you this as well, those bills, they're still there in retirement. So we have to figure out how to create a paycheck. Tim, what are some of the other ways?
Yeah, so, you know, when I speak to individuals at our retirement events throughout Northeast Ohio, we covered the big four, and you've covered some of them, right? The first one really is pensions, and it's pretty scary. To 2023, only 15% of private companies offer pensions anymore. It's such a low amount. Really in Ohio, it's public employees. You know, and the big ones are OPERS, PERS, teachers, STRS, school employees, SERS, FERS, federal, police and firefighter. You know, the public employees are the ones really that have the pensions, but it's just not enough. Next to that really is Social Security. Now, here's a scary stat. The average Social Security in America is only a little over $1,700 now. Think about that. Social Security was never intended to cover your retirement. The other one is real estate. Now, if you have, you know, tenants and you have rental property and you got the cash flow coming in month after month, that's a legitimate paycheck.
Comes with its own issues.
It does.
Hopefully you have good tenants.
And pay on time and treat the house well.
Right.
You know, that's something. But really the last one is fixed index annuities and fixed annuities. You know, we like to blend those into our retirement plan. You know, most of your money should be in the stock market, but a portion of it, and it depends, that's why we sit down and we walk people through our process, maybe, depends on the situation, some of that money should be in a fixed index annuity. Michelle, this is probably a really good time for me to use the light board to explain fixed index annuities a little better because they can be a little complicated.
Sounds good. All right, while Tim is making his way back to the light board, I'd like to remind you all to text READY to 440-345-6900 to get your Retirement Ready Toolkit. Okay, Tim, are you ready for us?
I'm ready. Welcome everybody to this week's segment of the Retirement Ready TV Light Board. And the idea behind this segment is that I'm going to try to take complex retirement topics and issues and products and try to make them a little more clear visually on your TV screen for you. Because if you're a visual person like I am, sometimes by seeing images, it can make it a little more clear. So today, I'm going to talk about fixed index annuities. I know, annuities, oh my gosh. There's a lot of good information out there and there's a lot of bad information. The problem is there's a lot of misinformation. Annuities get all lumped together. The problem is that they should not be lumped together because there's really three different types of annuities. On this end of the spectrum are variable annuities. Personally, Laura and I do not do variable annuities. That's just our choice. Variable annuities are investments in the market. Your money can go up and it can go down. On the other end of the spectrum are fixed annuities. Fixed annuities are like CDs on steroids, we say. You get a guaranteed interest rate. Your money is just going to grow on the interest rate on the contract that you sign. But the interesting one is the one in the middle, the one that is the fixed index annuity. And it's based off of a chosen index, how your money grows. And let me explain that on the board here, okay? So with fixed index annuities, FIAs, we know that the stock market goes up, down, right? But with a fixed index annuity, when the market goes up, you share in the gains with the insurance company. When the market goes down, you are flat. You do not lose anything. When the market goes back up, you share in the gains. When the market goes down, you are flat. And when the market goes back up, you share in the gains. That is the difference. You can see when the market goes up, we are sharing on those gains with the chosen index, right? You see that there. But when the market goes down, we are flat. That is the key on a fixed index annuity. You have two choices with fixed index annuity. You either can have your accounts go up when the market is going up and you share on that chosen index. But when the market goes down, you're flat. And every year that your gains go up, you lock in your gains each year. So each year when the market goes up, you lock in the gains, and that is now your new floor, as we say, your floor. When the market goes up again, we lock in at that new floor. That is now your base. You can never go below that. And how you do that is two different ways. And this is important to understand. You either have a cap or a participation rate. So let's say, for example, like insurance companies, we use a lot of the S&P 500 as our chosen index. A lot of you have heard of the S&P 500 along with the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones. Insurance companies use a lot of S&P 500 as their chosen index. So in 2022, when the markets went down, almost all fixed index annuities were flat. We did not lose anything. But last year, if you remember, when the markets all went up in 2023, we shared in the gains with that chosen index. Once again, by a cap or a participation rate. Let's talk about caps. Cap is like the ceiling, the best that you can do. So, for example, if you have a 9% cap on your fixed index annuity on the S&P 500, and if the S&P 500 gets a 10% return, you would get all the way up to that 9%. That is your ceiling, the best that you can do. If the market goes the wrong way, if it loses 10, 20, 30%, you would get a 0. You get anywhere from 0 up into that cap, whatever that might be is for your chosen index. The other way to do it is with a participation rate. It's how much do you participate in your chosen index. So once again, in this example, let's say you have a 50% participation rate in your fixed index annuity, and the S&P 500 gets a 10% return. Well, 50% would be 5. you would get a 5% return instead of the 10. Cap or participation rate, that is the two ways that you can use a fixed index annuity, the indexes. Now here's the thing, I gotta tell you, I gotta be honest with this. There's no perfect investment, right? Let's be honest, there's no perfect investment. If you invest in the stock market, you could have wonderful returns, but it also can go down. Well, with fixed index annuities, there are pros and cons as well. Listen, you will never outperform the stock market with the fixed index annuity. You will not, because of the cap or the participation rate. But there are some good pros. You know, there are no fees to fixed index annuities. Well, let me just jump back a bit. There's no fees on the annuities that we choose here at Preservation Retirement Services. Some annuities come with fees. The annuities that we decide to work with, the insurance companies we decide to partner with, have no fees. There is no downside loss, right? So that is obviously a pro that we talked about. When the market goes the wrong way, we are flat. You can also take income from fixed index annuities, which is very important in retirement planning. That's something that we talk about with clients coming into our office. And there can be long-term care benefits built into fixed index annuities. Now remember, the negatives for fixed index annuities is that we're never going to outperform the stock market. That is true. And there's going to be liquidity issues, meaning you're not allowed to take all your money out of a fixed index annuity every year. Most of the time there is a free withdrawal percentage. Usually it is 10%, meaning if you have $100,000 in a fixed index annuity, every year you can take up to 10%, or in this example, $10,000. Each annuity has a little different rules. Make sure you find out which annuity you're thinking about doing and what are the rules in particular to that one. But I hope that explains fixed index annuities. We really think it is an important product for some, not all of your retirement money, but that's definitely a discussion you need to have with your retirement planner. I got to get back to set. I'll see you next time.
That was fantastic. Fixed index annuities sound like they could be a really solid component in a retirement income plan.
I hope that made it a little better and easier to understand.
That light board's pretty awesome too.
That was awesome.
You did great. Annuities can be confusing for so many people, but really are one of those tools that can be really helpful in a portfolio.
For some people, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Tim and Laura, so much for joining us. And the light board is pretty cool. I can't believe our time is up for today, but if you'd like to know more about preparing for consistent and reliable income in retirement, Tim and Laura are here for you to help. They want to help you protect and grow your retirement savings while creating a reliable income stream. And they're offering a complimentary retirement-ready assessment for everyone. The key thing to remember is just one phone number, 440-345-6900. You can call or text that number anytime, and if you text the word READY, you'll receive a simple form to fill out to receive a retirement ready toolkit. Or you can go ahead and schedule a no-obligation introductory phone call with Preservation Retirement to help you with your retirement goals. That's 440-345-6900. Or visit Tim and Laura online at retirewithprs.com. Don't wait. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.